Hello everybody, happy Thursday. Today we are going to be talking about tiny homes, so let's get started. So some of you might have noticed that I have not been on here very much lately, and that is simply because we have been looking for properties, we have been thinking about going tiny, and I seem to be just mentally stuck in this gray space of what should I do, what do I want to do, what makes the most sense for everybody, and I haven't been able to get out of it, which means I haven't made a video because that's all I've been doing is just running in circles in my brain. So today we are getting out of that mode and we are going to talk about the pros and cons of tiny home living. I was going to get started with the pros here, but I think maybe we'll end on the positive notes and we'll start with the cons. Maybe that's a little bit backwards, but let's end on a positive note. So, okay, let's list off some of these cons that might be a thing if you're planning on going tiny. I think the size of your family really matters when you're going into a small space, and how old the kids are, because some of these places, they have little lofts and they're great for little people, but I don't think a full-size teen is going to want to necessarily crawl up into a loft. I know I wouldn't. So what are some of the cons? I think just the space alone is a con. Not having enough washrooms is a con. Having to downsize the things that you love, that is or could be a problem. I mean, you can't take everything with you if you're going to be living in a small space. That can also be a pro. There are a lot of rules in order to put a tiny home onto a piece of property. I know in some of these videos they are on wheels. That is not the case in a lot of these places. You may have to go into a trailer park, particularly in Ontario. Another one of these cons is that we experience 4 seasons here rather than just warmth all year round, and that might be a con. Keeping those water pipes and everything, depending on how you're going to set up your tiny home with the solar. Is there enough sunlight during the seasons in order to support that? Are your pipes going to freeze? These are the kind of things that I think that we need to worry about here in Ontario. It does get quite cold. It also gets quite warm. So things to think about. Whoa! Resale value. That's a big one for me. That one's been spinning around in my head for quite some time. Now, I know the cost of living has gone up significantly. Is this going to be a movement that continues to push forward, or am I going to experience a drop in price in what I've paid for my tiny home? I'm thinking of shipping containers. What is the lifespan on my shipping container? Now, they do say that, it could last up to 40 years. It could keep going forever and ever. That is something that I don't know 100% for sure. Do I think that it should last forever? Of course I do. But another thing to think about is being in everybody's space all of the time. There's not a lot of space to get away on those rainy days, on those snowy days. And part of our plan, our master plan, is to actually travel more. So I'm hoping that if this is something that we do move ahead with, that we are out of the house during these times when it is the darkest, when it is the coldest, when we are experiencing just sort of a lull in our moods here in Ontario, particularly February, when they've set up Family Day in order to try and curb that feeling for people so that they can have a holiday while they're working. Okay, so let's move into some of the pros. I think this is where my list is probably longer. Maybe this is rose-colored glasses. But before I do that, I'm going to invite you to subscribe. I don't do videos all of the time, but I do videos every once in a while. We do have a festival coming up this weekend, so I'm hoping to get out with my camera and film that, walk around town and just see what's going on. It's not going to be a big thing, but it will be something interesting, I hope, for you. The weather here is getting much nicer. I'm hoping to get back out into Toronto. I keep saying that. I'm going to get there. We're going to do the CN Tower. I do have my son's 19th birthday coming up. We're going to go out and enjoy that. So lots of things on the agenda as well. If this tiny house thing goes through, there will be that to look forward to. There's so many thoughts going on in my head. I've just been paralyzed by it, but it's all good. It's all good. So let's look at some of the pros that might go along with this. And one of them is in downsizing, because we already have a house, there would be some room to do that. As long as we stay within our budget and we don't get wild with what we'd like, and we do actually go with the tiny home solution. Another pro is that we would be getting more land. Right now we do not have a very big yard. We are on a postage stamp right here, just in order to have our house. I have worked very, very hard to have this house, so I enjoy it thoroughly and I'm very proud of it, but you know, sometimes you just need a change. Another thing is, could be living closer together. It is that connection. It is having more room to go out and experience different things in life rather than being stuck with your house and that giant overhead that comes along with having a mortgage. I think another pro is getting outside more often and maybe growing some of our own vegetables and just enjoying the outdoor space and enjoying each other's company. Having room to have a bonfire, having darkness to look at the stars in the sky at night, just slowing down a more peaceful and enjoyable life. Now, again, maybe that's rose-colored glasses. There's going to be problems. There's going to be issues that come up even though you're living in a smaller space. Less to clean, less to manage, less to worry about. That's sort of the goal anyways. One of the things I've noticed with these tiny home videos and the tiny home layouts is that they don't have a closet when you first walk in. Now, my house does not have a closet when you first walk in. It is a very frustrating thing not to have a closet when you first walk in, because hanging your coats up, you have to have hooks on the wall. That's fine. But 5 people hanging their stuff up, it does get a bit cluttered. So you have to come up with solutions in order to curb that. We do have a closet by the garage door entrance, and that does help, but again, it would be very useful. And I think tiny home builders out there, you need to look at that. You need a closet by the front door. Shipping container homes, same thing. You're often walking in and the idea is very beautiful and very peaceful and relaxing, but in actual use, everyday use for a family, I think that you need that closet. Now, basements, do you put a basement on it? Yes? No? Maybe? What would be the use of a basement? Well, you could put extra living space down there if you wanted to. You can also store, if you're doing solar, the batteries, things like that, your hot water heater, things that you don't necessarily think about all of the time, but you might need. So do we put a basement on it? Do we not put a basement on it? That's something that I think we're going to have to decide. What do you guys think? Would you put a basement on yours, or would you simply do it more like cottage style where it's up on footings? Would you consider living in a shipping container the way that I am considering it, or we are considering it? My children, not so on board. The little one maybe is a bit more excited about it than the bigger ones. But again, that comes with moving away and being in a different location, changing your comfort zone. So there's so many factors to consider. But I want to thank you guys for coming along and just going over some of these thoughts that are in my head, some of the pros, some of the cons. What are some of the pros and cons that you guys can think of? I know that I haven't gone over all of them just yet. They're kind of spinning around in my head, but I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. So thanks everybody for coming along, and we will see you guys all in the next video.